Well, that was fun.
Yeah, I didn't know that part of Daniel's story. I remember the stuff about the fiery furnace and the lion's den from VBS. Who could forget those names?
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Exactly, but I'd never heard that first chapter before.
Is it just me, or do those Old Testament stories seem awfully old?
They do. But I have to say, I could relate to Daniel being dragged from home and taken into a strange country. When I first got to Durham School of the Arts, I definitely felt like I'd landed in Babylon. I guess going to a new school is always hard, though. When I heard the story of Daniel 1, I immediately thought of middle school. You have to get new friends, new classes, and it's a totally new experience. My transition to a combined middle and high school was especially hard. There I was, straight out of elementary school. I saw and heard things I'd never ever heard before, which was intimidating. One of the major changes, though, was profanity. I guess people think that even though cuss words are totally against school rules, that they can say them anyways. I don't get it. What's the point? I want to fit in, and since coming to middle school, I've assimilated in a few ways, but I don't want to start using profanity as part of my vocabulary just because everyone else talks that way. I hope I never really will. I wonder if Daniel and his friends ever got used to the Babylonian names they gave them, or if they always sounded like profanity to them. Other bad stuff happens at school, of course, like drugs or cutting class or even smoking on campus, that kind of stuff. But for some reason, hearing profanity in the hallway after a class change is still shocking to me. I think Durham School of the Arts is an amazing school, and I'm so lucky to be there. But it was a huge change, and it still surprises me when something like that happens. Do you think Daniel and his friends felt like that when they got to Babylon? Like they'd landed in middle school, a completely new place full of new people, and what happened there completely contradicted what they believed? For me, when push comes to shove, it's still possible to keep on a straight path and to hold on to what I believe. I guess I just have to find a way to get along with the Babylonians. Finding that middle ground can be hard.
Thanks, Lucy. That makes me totally stoked to go to DSA next year. Actually, it reminds me of a story I heard during the NCAA tournament this year about a guy at a new school. After my Tar Heels got knocked out, I was pulling for Wichita State. There's a player, Clay Anthony Early. Do you remember him? I thought about him when we read Daniel 1. Early didn't always get the best grades, but he was a great basketball player, so he went to junior college to pull his grades up, hoping he could play ball for a big school. One college visit changed his career. At first, when he went to look at Wichita State in Kansas, they were more interested in him than he was in them. It just wasn't a big spot on his radar. Early had planned to stay in Wichita for only 2 days, but God had another plan. Hurricane Irene hit the East Coast while he was in Kansas, and flights all over the country got messed up. He ended up stranded at Wichita for 5 days. He ended up getting a really good look at the school and the students and athletes. He noticed that there was something different about the way they acted. The basketball players weren't focused on partying, drinking, or making fools of themselves. There didn't seem to be as many distractions in Wichita as there were in other places. The players were focused on 2 things: their education and basketball. Early knew his priorities. He wanted to get a degree and to play college ball. Even though he wasn't very interested in the school before he came there, he realized that they had exactly what he was looking for. In Daniel 1, Daniel knew God's law and what he believed before he was taken to Babylon. When he was put to the test, he stuck to his beliefs, and the situation turned out pretty well for him. Sometimes when I leave for school in the morning, my mom will tell me, "Remember who you are." I think I understand what that means now. Early made a great choice. Wichita State went all the way to the Final Four, ranked as a mere 9 seed, up against a number 1. In a new situation or a strange place, or under pressure, it helps to know what you believe and what your goals are. It worked for Daniel and for Early.
That's cool. He sounds like a cool guy. I guess sports can go either way. They can be a good influence or a bad distraction. Seems like some athletes use their superstar status as an excuse to break the rules instead of follow them. Last fall, when I was on my school's volleyball team, we were supposed to dress up for home games, but not everyone had the same idea of what dress up meant. It was a culture to wear things like short, tight skirts and tight tank tops. Even though the rules said that wasn't allowed at school, a lot of my teammates still did it anyways. No one enforced the rules. I'm most comfortable in clothes that do follow the rules. And you know what Gare says, modesty is hottest. I like to wear skirts that are a little longer and my shirts to cover more skin, especially at school. In the Bible, whenever it talks about clothing and appearance, it seems like what matters to God is what's on the inside, not the outside. I don't want to be judged by my clothes, and I try not to judge anyone else. But it seems like if we represent the school as athletes or leaders or whatever, we have to go by the rules. For Daniel, the issue was food. He didn't send the king's food back or tell anyone else what they should eat. He just did what he knew was right. For me, it's clothes. I never actually told my teammates that their clothes didn't follow the rules or how to dress. I just chose to wear clothes that I felt were appropriate for school and that were comfortable for me. Plenty of girls still dress like that, and I don't feel like it's my place to tell them what to wear. I want to be respectful of my parents, my God, and myself. Maybe my example will encourage someone else, or something good will happen for me, like it did for Daniel. Who knows? I think when we honor the rules, we honor God and we honor ourselves. It all goes together.
If it makes you feel any better, Emma, Kestrel Heights is definitely not the only school where students ignore the rules and get away with it. But I like the way you and Daniel just went about your business, doing the right thing. You didn't cram your religion down anyone's throat, but you didn't cave either. I'm not sure what I'd do without people who really know me. I go to DSA with Lucy, and 6th grade was a big eye-opener for me too. We saw things that we hadn't heard of or seen before. I have to admit, I was scared and at the same time astonished. It really made a difference having friends that share my goals and values, who go to church with me and are there for me when I need them. When we talk about church at school, it's a pretty even split between who goes and who doesn't. Lots of people used to go, but stopped going because they were too busy. Then there are some kids who can tell you almost every story in the Bible. It's good to know who your church friends are and to stick together, no matter what. In 6th grade, Lucy, Anna, Chelsea, and I were like Daniel and his buds. We all came from the same elementary school and were best friends from then on. We all go to church, and Anna and Chelsea come to our youth group a lot. We share the same values and goals, and we know we could talk to each other about anything. The first time I saw a pregnant student at school, I was with Lucy. Of course, we'd seen plenty of pregnant women, but never a pregnant classmate. It just wasn't part of the scene at Easley. So we totally freaked out. And of course, we immediately started talking, and we told Anna and Chelsea, who had the same reaction we did. I'm sure we had like a neon sign flashing above our heads. 6th graders. We definitely saw and heard stuff that was outside of our daily lives, religion, and goals. And being able to talk to each other about it really helped. Having friends at school who go to church is great. It's also like having friends who I only see at church. Even though we don't share the same experiences, we have something important that brings us together. If I'm ever in a tough situation, I know I can talk to you guys about it. If I'm going wrong, you'll straighten me out. If I'm going right, but need encouragement, I know you'll give it to me, just like Daniel's friends did. They supported each other in the hard stuff, and they all came out stronger than they were before.
So I'm sitting here listening to all of our stories and thinking about Daniel's story, and I'm seeing something that they all have in common. You with me? In the stories, there's one thing that helps the person live like God wants them to.
Oh, I see where you're going, Lucy.
Every time, there were people, family, the church, friends, even fellow prisoners, who helped us know the right thing and do the right thing. I guess that's what being the church is all about.
Oh. You realize what just happened, don't you?
Whoa, it happened again. God helped 4 friends in a tough situation. I believe we just preached the sermon for you Sunday. I love you guys.